Welcome to the EdTech Throwdown. Join us, Eric Guise and Nick Johnson, as we dive into today's best EdTech tools, tips, and practices. We do the research so you can teach your class. Remember to follow us on social media like Instagram, X, or Facebook by looking for the handle @EdTech Throwdown. Now please enjoy the show.
Welcome to the EdTech Throwdown. This is episode 194 called Tech That Teaches Hardware We Actually Love. In this episode, we'll go over the hardware that allows our classrooms and offices to run smoothly and efficiently. Save time, headaches, and hopefully some money. This is another episode you don't want to miss. Check it out.
Alright, so we are on to episode 194, which is divisible by 2, which would make this 2 times 97?
Wow. Did you plan that out in advance, divisible by 2?
I mean, whatever.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm getting there. End of the year math.
Yeah, I guess so.
I am smarter than a 5th grade. No, I'm taking that back. Been struggling, but we're getting there. All right, so today's episode's all about gadgets. And when we're talking gadgets, we're not trying to break the bank here. But these are things that we use in our day in, day out classroom setting, in our office setting, things like that. And we just wanted to share some light on them because it's summer. And summertime is the time to try things and try to find a new routine that you like or try to find something that spruces things up. And if you're like us, every year we get $75 to purchase something for our classroom, or something that's going to help, somehow provide us with stuff that we'll need throughout the year, whether it's paper, whether it's staples, whether it's a new electronic stapler, something like that. But we're going to go over some of the things that, might fit that bill a little bit, right? And also, this is a great time for PTOs and other parental groups. They sometimes give grants at the end going into the next school year or over the summer to get ready for the next school year. So maybe a couple of these can be put on there and could be purchased by parental groups.
Yeah, and if you don't have any of those capabilities, perhaps you don't get any money to spend or you won't have the option of a PTO, most of the things that we've chosen are moderately priced. So if you feel it valuable enough for how you're going to run the tech side of your office or the tech side of your classroom, hopefully not too bad for you to make these purchases yourself. In other words, we did not choose anything, I think, and I could be wrong, that was like top of the line $600 worth of tech hardware.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is either stuff that got great reviews from people that we know who use them or stuff that we use ourselves. But another thing is a lot of times over the summer, you get those complete my list, wish lists and stuff like that. If you're someone that does that, these gadgets might be able to be put on those wish lists as well. But yeah, so that's what we are going to do today. We're going to talk about some of the electronic gadgets that we love, that we use, or someone close to us uses. And but before we get into that main segment, let's pause here for a message from the Teach Better Podcast Network.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcasts. Now let's get back to the episode.
Okay, so we each found 5 different things from either our classrooms or our offices that we know and we love and we use all the time. And at least for me, I don't know the approach you took. Maybe you could tell everybody, but I tried to think about this as like, what do I use? What has become so crucial to my daily tasking? Let's just call it that. I don't even think about the fact that these tech gadgets are there. Some of the things I chose are also things where if somebody comes into my office and they see what I'm doing, see the video that I'm recording or the editing that I'm, working on for, my next classroom lesson, people might say like, oh, that's really cool. How do you do that? Or how do you make these things so quickly? Just all these different comments that we get from people because we've got the time as tech coaches to explore these things and really fiddle with this stuff. that a lot of teachers don't have. And I thought I would just like list those out for people. So that was kind of my approach here. Did you do a similar thing when you chose yours?
Yeah, I did. I mean, most of the stuff that I use, well, most of the stuff I do use, there's one thing on here that one of our close colleagues uses as well. But I try to get a nice collection between the stuff that we use as a tech coach, since this is a tech podcast and a lot of ed tech coaches listen to this podcast. But I have some stuff on here as well that I use in the classroom that can really help out, the day in, day out stuff. And I'm all about simplicity, so a lot of my stuff has to do with productivity or simplifying something, where there's gadgets out there that have 1,000 buttons and do a lot of really cool things. I get overwhelmed with the buttons. I don't need the buttons. I want the basics, something that's going to be very easy to connect and use, and the functionality is exactly what I need in a minimalist type of way.
All right, that's a great approach, and I like that strategy as well. Let's dive straight in, and we'll maybe do our normal, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth. My first one is more for my own workstation, like this setup that I have. And a lot of this is going to go hand in hand, and me listing things that are part of that setup. And you would think this would be obvious, but I see so many people trying to work without one of these gadgets. What I'm talking about is a USB splitter. If you don't know what that is, hopefully you at least know on your computer there's one of the many ports along the side is a USB port. It's probably the most common, most well-known one. And modern, like the newer laptops, have fewer and fewer USB ports to them. The one that I'm looking at right now has only one classic USB port, which is a giant pain because I have a lot of stuff that I need to plug into my computer that need that USB port. So
like what, Nick? Like what?
Like perhaps a second monitor, like my wireless mouse, like my webcam, like my microphone, all these different components that I can't carry around with me all day. I don't want to have to re-plug in every time I sit down at my desk. And a USB splitter allows you to plug in one single USB to the port on your laptop. And the splitter then obviously splits that into 4 separate USB ports. So the USB port has all those things plugged into it. I'll tell you what's plugged into mine right now officially. It's pretty much the same list I just rattled off. I'm a mouse user. I can't stand the trackpad. It drives me crazy. So my wireless mouse is plugged into one of those ports, my webcam the other, the microphone the other, and I'm not going to give the names of these because that's some of the other stuff on my list for today's episode. But what this means essentially is I walk into my office, I sit down, I make one plug-in for that USB splitter, and then all my stuff is connected in an instant. Very helpful. It saves me, I don't know how much time. It's probably not super significant, like a minute. But it's a very annoying minute of having to like plug in all that stuff. And if I'm doing that multiple times throughout the day, every time I get up and get down from my desk, adds up, and the frustration adds up. So this has been a huge time saver. The best part about this is that it's cheap. I bought this with my own personal money because these things are so cheap. The specific one that I have is called the Anker, Anker Hub 4 ports. You can get it on Amazon for like $8 right now, although sometimes it's even cheaper. Actually, right now it's on sale it's like half off, so it might be normally around $13 or $14, but even that, relatively cheap. So I didn't mind, putting out for that myself, and it's just been such a great thing. It's probably my favorite thing on my list for, honestly, not even time saving, but just the frustration it saves me from plugging all that garbage in every day.
Yeah, setups are important, and getting into a routine and just being able to get to work very quickly, it's worth that $8 or $9 for sure. I'm going to get into my first one, and one thing that I really, really hate is how complex presentation mice or clickers and all that stuff has become. We have these laser pointers, we have, I saw a clicker that had 3 different types of laser pointers on there. I'm like, I don't want all these buttons. I want an advance button and I want a back button. That's all I need. All right, if I had another button, it would probably be a laser pointer. Just a simple laser pointer, and that's it. And my first tool, and I have 3 of these because I loan these out in the media center, but I did purchase one of the 3, and it's my favorite thing, and it is called the Dino Fire Wireless Presenter Clicker. And I have the classic one. It's no bells, no whistles, forward, backward, and laser pointer. I believe the new ones with the classic have a volume up and a volume down. I don't even need that.
Don't need it.
Mine, forward, backward, laser pointer. That's it. So I really love this presentation mouse clicker thing. It's awesome. Comes in at a whopping $13. It's probably my best purchase that I have made. We do presentations all the time. All the time. And just knowing that you have a reliable thing here, you put the battery in, you hit a button, it connects with the computer seamlessly, and it's just awesome. All right, so it's $12.99. I will tell you this, there are many different packages that you can get. Like I said, I get the classic one. If you get the nifty case that goes with it, rather than just the sleeve that I get with the classic case, I don't think you really need the case, but that adds another $13 to it. After that, there's like a different color laser pointer. It's a little sleeker design. Like all these are maybe the width of 2 pencil points, or 2 pencils, I mean. So they're very easy to hold. It's about 4 or 5 inches long. So it's like one of those jumbo pencils that you would get as a kid. And it's very easy, but they have 7 different variations. They have a rechargeable one. They have a USB one. So there are many different types out there, but I'm recommending the classic because I think it's just phenomenal.
And as tech coaches, one of the requests that we get more than anything else is for these clickers. People love the presentation clickers. It's just like, I would have assumed that this would become like outdated over time. But it's just this little piece of hardware that never goes away because it makes sense, right? If you're presenting, maybe you're doing something more formal and outside the classroom, you want to be able to, meander around and feel comfortable up in front of that group and just have that little clicker in your hand. And the mark of the best tech is that it just works. And the one that you mentioned is definitely our go-to because it just works. You don't have to train anybody on it. They plug it in. And it goes, and that's the exact mark of what you're looking for technology that sticks around. So that was a cool one to bring up. My next one is for all the people out there that have yet to jump on the second monitor bandwagon. I'm bringing it up again. I think COVID pretty much scooped up the majority of people as far as like actually doing this, because before that, I know I didn't have a second monitor. And a lot of people didn't. I've talked before on the show about my wife who works from home in a home office, and she was just using her laptop screen only. And for years, I tried to get her to connect to a second monitor. She refused, and then finally we got one. And it's the kind of thing where it almost looks silly if you don't use it. In fact, the office I'm in now has 3 monitors. Once I connect my laptop to it, there's 2 others. And I always made fun of the guy who was in here before me for having 3 monitors because I was like, that's ridiculous. What do you need all those for? But once you have that, you start using them, and it's hard to go back for real. So I'm talking to all the people who have yet to adopt. You will love it once you do it. And this is twofold, right? So one mention of this is for your classroom, because how awesome to be able to connect your laptop at the front or the back of the room to a second monitor. What's being projected or shown to the students is one of those screens, so you still have a second one for yourself. To me, this seems so obvious and so great, but there's a lot of teachers in our school who still just present the one laptop screen, which means anything they're doing, if they are sharing that screen with the class, the students are also seeing. And I just don't know why you would live that way if you don't have to. We're lucky enough that our school has provided us with a second monitor. If you are not lucky enough to have that, I still think it's something that might be worth either a purchase yourself or trying to figure out if there's some way that you can get some organization to fund that for you. There's a lot of these things, and they can be very expensive. They can be very inexpensive too. So the one that I've linked in the show notes for you guys is the one that I have. It's a Dell 27-inch monitor. It's 1080p, high def. None of that honestly really matters. Like, I like it for some of the editing stuff that we have to do, but I think for your standard teacher, all you need is the second monitor for that aspect of like a larger screen that gets shared, but you still have your own screen available for your own things. The one thing I want to mention is if you're making this purchase, you might want to consider to go with what's called a smart monitor versus just a classic, I call them regular monitors. I don't know if there's a term for that. All that the smart monitor means is that it has some abilities as a standalone device as well to do simple things, like maybe some simple app streaming. Even though your laptop's not connected, you can use it for that. It might have Bluetooth capabilities, just different options. And if you have the ability to spend that extra, it might be cool. But if you don't, you can find some very, very cost-effective second screens for yourself. Now, I'm going to bring up one other thing here, and that is, we've talked in some recent episodes actually about designing your classroom space with different areas, like a brain break area with some coloring or some puzzles. Maybe you've got a reading nook. I'm going to also bring up here a tech area of the classroom. And here's why. One thing that's been coming up as our students use their Chromebooks more and more is that the Chromebook screens are super teeny tiny. And if you've got your kids doing things like, say, creating a video where they're editing it in Canva, that tiny screen can become extremely frustrating. So how about this? In your classroom, if you have a tech center, maybe with a couple, maybe 3, just like a small handful of second monitors where the students can connect their device and now they have a larger monitor screen to use. Maybe those monitors have some wireless mouses plugged into them so that they don't have to use that teeny tiny little trackpad. So if you see a student getting frustrated with that smaller screen, you've got a place to go send them for that type of work. This is not going to happen in every single classroom. I get it. But if you've got the space for it, it might be a cool thing to pursue. And I don't think that's something a lot of teachers are doing. So I wanted to share that possibility here today. Second monitor, get on it, everybody.
Yeah, with that, go check out your IT department and see if they have any old monitors hanging around that might be compatible. And you can maybe cut a deal with them that if anyone else needs them, you could come take them away. But I would really like 3. They don't have to be new. They could be older. If they're at the end of the year, sometimes they recycle some of the older desktops if they still have computer labs. And when they get new ones, sometimes they get new monitors. So you might be able to score a monitor at the end of the year. All right. So I should have probably did my next one first because you've been talking setups, but I guess you're going to talk setups for a couple more.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw this one out there. And I just actually bought this. I had it at home, but I actually just bought one for school. And this is a Trond, Trond 20 watt USB-C desk clamp power strip. All right. That's a mouthful.
I was going to make a comment about all those letters and numbers. That's
funny. So it's a 6-foot cord, and then it has this desk clamp. So you clamp it to the corner of your desk. It's kind of like our mics in most of our studios have clamps. They're seat clamps that fit on the top and the bottom of your table. All right. But the thing is I have always used Velcro. And I would put one piece of the Velcro on my desk, and I would put one piece of Velcro on the power strip, like a plain power strip. This desk clamp really does that. It's neater. It doesn't fall off. Like, I have to re-Velcro these power strips 2-3 times a year. All right, but this desk clamp at home did the trick. I put it to the back left corner of my desk, and I forget about it. But the thing that I like about this one, and I get it with the USB ports, you could just get it as a power strip, but there are 6 regular 3-prong ports. Four of the three ports. There are 4 USB-C ports, and then there's 2 to 4, depending on the model that you get, USB ports. So Nick had a 4-port. Now I'm getting, 4 more additional ports plus USB-C ports. And the other thing I really like is there's like a power button there. So if I'm leaving, I don't need to. It's right there. You just hit the power button, everything's off. So I really like it. This runs right now for $26.98. I will tell you, this is one of the best purchases that I've done in a while. I just like how neat my setup is, and not having to deal with Velcro 3 times a year. And when that power strip always fell off my desk, oftentimes it pulled off my camera or it pulled off something else. Now I also have flexibility in the hardware, other hardware. Like, you have a USB mouse, I have a USB-C mouse. All right. So now the mouse or the USB port in my laptop can be taken by something other than a mouse. All right. So I really, really enjoy that as well. So check out the Tron 20-watt USB-C desk clamp power strip.
Pause the show so I can go order one of those things, and then we'll come back, because that sounds awesome, and I think I need to purchase that thing. Okay, my third one is my option for writing on a computer screen. It's called I don't know how to pronounce this. I've heard people say Wacom. I've heard people say Wacom. Do you know the proper one for that company?
I'm just going to sound confident in the way that I do it. It's a Wacom, baby.
Yeah. See, I go the other way, Wacom, but like whatever. WACOM is the name. This specific one that I linked in the show notes is the Wacom or Wacom Small Bluetooth Graphics Drawing Tablet Portable for Teachers. Notice in the name, specifically for teachers, which is one of the nice things about it. If you don't know what this is, it's not your typical tablet, right? It's not like an iPad. There's no screen. Its only purpose is it's like a little flat black piece of plastic, and there's a pen, a special pen, and you write on this flat black piece of plastic, and as you do that, it transcribes what you're writing onto the computer screen in the exact same way that a stylus works on a touch screen. And I've used both of those things, and I'll tell you why I'm mentioning the Wacom tablet versus the typical touch screen stylus. It feels to me, and this might just be a personal preference thing, but that's, we're the hosts and that's what this is all about. So I'm just telling you what I like. It feels to me more natural to write this way than it does to try to write on the actual touch screen of the computer itself. One of the main problems I have, because my laptop is a touch screen and I have a stylus that like goes with the actual laptop, so it should work perfectly. Constantly, when I'm using my stylus, the computer screen picks up my hand. I'm clicking something accidentally. I'm zooming in and zooming out by mistake. I have constant issues with the stylus because I'm trying to write on the same place where all the action is happening. With the Wacom tablet, you're writing on something separate than the screen. So you get this much more natural feel. It's almost like you're writing on a piece of paper than with the stylus itself. Now, part of that I know is that I'm not using a super high-end touchscreen and stylus. If I had, a top-of-the-line iPad with the stylus that goes with it, a lot of those problems would go away, and I'm aware of that. But how often in education do you have that luxury? The Wacom tablet is the one that I've got linked is $40, so very affordable. I have and that's the wireless pen, so the pen is not connected to the tablet itself at all. I have an even cheaper one that's like $20 that is where the pen is actually wired to the tablet, and I like it fine. So very, very cheap, and you get a very natural feel. People are often worried that it's going to feel strange to be writing on the tablet, but then you're looking at the screen. And for me, there was like no adjustment time whatsoever. It was like super natural feeling right from the beginning. So I would say, don't worry about that. I received no training in it. It was just a plug and play, basically. You connect to your computer with a USB, and roughly you're off to the races. I know there was they had to download like the Wacom application that kind of runs the thing, but it just was all so super user friendly. So if you want to go down this road, I highly recommend it. As far as what do I use this for, this is just anytime I'm recording a video for my students and I want to be able to write on the screen, which as a math and science teacher, that happens all the time. I couldn't live without it. Like these days, to not have this is huge. Also, if you're doing any kind of tutoring over Zoom or whatever, choose your platform there, electronic tutoring, let's say, you need to be able to write things down on the screen to have the person you're tutoring see it. And that's another place that the Wacom has been invaluable. So I would highly recommend this to any teachers doing any of those things.
Wacom.
Wacom. Wacom.
No, Wacom. Wacom sock'em.
There you go.
I don't know. I can't draw on a whiteboard, so I mean it's a lost cause for me. I have tried.
Do you ever do this? Do you have an opinion on the stylus versus the tablet writing? Like where are you at? I don't know if you ever even tried to go down this road.
Yeah, I mean I tried the Wacom tablet. I got one of the $9 styluses with a fine point.
Right.
I don't like the round point stylus. I like the fine point stylus. And that was the same when, you get pens. I have to have a fine point pen.
Right.
I can't have, do not have the greatest handwriting in the world. Some say that qualifies me to be a doctor right away. And, but I have not stayed at a Holiday Inn Express lately, so I am not a doctor. But I do have the doctor's handwriting. All right, let's get into my next one. This is one that I love to have around. This is a tech tool that I use often because I like to organize things sometimes. Nick's giving me a face because he's calling my bluff here. But if he goes and sees how many labels are around the media center, like I gave every single drawer in this or cabinet in the media center has a little label above the handle. And that way I can keep an inventory of where things are. So when I go into that Google Sheet, I could just type what I'm looking for and it tells me what cabinet number it's in. I think that's pretty organized, Nick.
You do organize a lot of the time. I'll give you that.
In a weird way.
Yeah,
there you go. So what I have is a USB label maker, and the company is Dymo. And what it does is it will print up to like a 3/4 inch label, however long I want it, but height-wise, it's 3/4 inches or down to even 1/4 inch. It's very easy. You can plug it into any desktop or laptop or whatever you want, and it's automatically going to connect via a driver that's already installed on it. So you don't actually have to do anything. Automatically installs it. You click on the Dymo label maker, plug-in thing, the little gadget that comes up, and then you type in whatever you want and you hit print, and that's it. It even has a little cutter at the top. I also put another one that is more for a desktop that's in a permanent location that could be a little bigger, but they have mailing label printers. They have a lot of different things, and they're affordable. Like the plug and play one that I have in there, this is the USB one for a PC or a Mac, is $48. And I have that one. It's sitting next to my desk. I use it a lot, and yeah, it's really nice. I use it to label student projects when they're drying. I use it to label, like I said, the cabinets, things like that. We also label all our podcast mics. So when we're doing sound tests, we know what mic it is. So when we look at the mixer, we can turn up or down the volume of the correct mic. So we use it for a lot of things.
You're speaking my language now, man. I love labeling stuff. Did you ever have, when you were a kid, those? It looked like it was from the 70s.
A little wheel.
Yeah, the wheel.
You line up the letter and
yes.
click the button.
You know what I'm talking about?
And indents it into the ribbon.
Yeah. I got to find, I just thought of that for the first time in like 20 years. I love those things.
That's something that you want to put in your background on a shelf when you're doing a Zoom call.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Like I have You remember Home Alone 2? They had the walk or talk boy. I
Oh,
have one
yeah,
of those
yeah,
in
yeah.
my background.
Oh, that's cool.
I get asked about that a lot. I picked one of the. I scored that at a yard sale. I don't know why I was at this yard sale. I think there was like a golf bag that I saw, and I don't like to pay a couple $100 for a golf bag, and it caught my eye because the golf bag kind of looked like the one from Caddyshack that had the radio in it.
Okay.
It didn't have a radio, but it was like obnoxious.
I think I have that golf bag right now in my basement. I'm pretty sure you gave that to me. I could be wrong. I know you gave me a golf bag that is I still have and sitting in my basement. Was this during your flea market? If you guys don't know, Guise went through a brief flea market phase where maybe brief. I don't know, unless you still do it.
There is a reason for it. There was a reason for it. I had shoulder surgery, and I wanted to remain active because I didn't want to put on a lot of weight.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would go walk flea markets and stuff like that. And I love finding weird stuff and learning about them. So I'd go walk the flea market, and then I would, I would ask the person what this is, and they would tell me, and I would learn that way. And I liked it.
Yeah, it was cool.
So I would score occasional treasure every once in a while.
Shout out Gold Nugget. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, the Golden
Gold Nugget.
New Hope, Pennsylvania.
That's right. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna throw a curveball here because we're almost out of time and do my last two all at once. They're also very simple. First one is an external microphone. If you're a teacher who records videos, you may have noticed that generally speaking, the quality of your built-in mic with your computer is pretty terrible. And there's lots of options for like a USB microphone that you plug in to get a better sounding video. For me, that was always very important. I know not everybody cares, but I think the nicer of a listening experience you can give to your students, the more likely they are to want to watch your videos. So this was a factor for me. I've gotten the Blue Yeti microphone before. It's another popular one. I've tried a Rode podcasting mic before. It's another popular one. I always find all of these to be tinny sounding and echoey, and I'm sure I could mess with the settings enough to get it correct, but I don't want to mess with settings. I want it to plug in and work. And for me, the one that has always just worked is the Audio-Technica AT. There's like a bunch of letters with this. Should I say them all? Sure. ATR 2100X USB cardioid dynamic microphone. Just go to our show notes for this episode and click the link. It's just a great microphone. It plugs in and it works, and the sound quality is excellent. I've even used it for our podcast recordings sometimes because it sounds at least comparable to the much more expensive mics that we typically record on. And the price is reasonable. I think right now you can get it for like $50 on Amazon. So that's my first one. And I'm going to do my last one too, which is a multi-device charging station. It is exactly what it sounds like. You got a bunch of stuff that you got to plug in and charge. This particular one has 10 different ports ready to go. So phones, iPads, whatever it is, Kindles, set them all up, stack them up, neat, organized, not a bunch of crazy wires flying around. It might be a cool addition to your classroom maybe. And if you're collecting kids' cell phones while they're supposed to be paying attention, maybe give them the option to charge those phones while you are keeping them away from those students. So just an idea for everybody. The link for that is also in the show notes, and that wraps it up for my 5 things. I'll let you close it out, my friend.
All right. I don't know. I don't know about all those. I don't know how they make me feel. Like, you did a nice job with yours. I do like the multi-device charging station, but I'll get into my last 2. The first one I do not have because we have a full-size laminator in the media center. So if I'm going to laminate something there, I'll do that. But, one of my best friends in the school, he's on the other side of the building. He's down in the wellness department by the gyms, and he's a coach, so he laminates his coaching lineups and things like that, or plays and stuff like that, with a personal laminator. So the one that he has is the Bonsen, Bonsen A4 laminator machine. It's 9 1/3 inches. It's a thermal laminator. has never jammed technology. Man, I really sound like a commercial, but I'm just going to leave it there. So 9-inch, can handle 9-inch wide. It comes with 100 sheets of lamination for $29. I think that's a great deal on a personal laminator. So if you do a lot of lamination in your classroom, I believe that's something that would interest you. We'll get into my last one. I love music. I love not having silence in my classroom. I know that sounds weird, but I like to keep on calm music when they're doing work, things like that. So I like to have a easy to use, easy to carry, small USB Bluetooth speaker. So the one that I like right now is on sale if you get the black colored one. And if you go and get like a red or a blue, it's another like $9. So this one's $34 and it has great sound. It's called the Tribit X Sound Go Bluetooth speaker. It's pretty loud. It has some deep bass if you want that. When it's charged, it lasts a long time. There's a 24-hour playtime with it, so that's pretty good. And it will pair with any Bluetooth wireless speaker system there. So if you want to combine it with something that you already have and get like a surround sound at home or whatever. So I just typically leave this in my teaching bag in the drink holder and, singe up the old side bungee that's on the side of my bag so it doesn't drop out. And I carry that around with me. And that's going to wrap up my 5th.
All right. That also wraps up this whole episode. Hopefully this was a little breath of fresh air for people away from AI and just ed tech in general to focus on an aspect of technology, right? The hardware that we don't always get into. But like you said at the top, the summertime is the perfect place to rethink the hardware that you're using, both in your office, your classroom, and maybe your home. But we're going to close it out here, everybody. As always, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the EdTech Throwdown. Do us a couple of favors. Subscribe to our podcast on any major podcast catcher such as Apple, Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, and Stitcher. Go over to YouTube, search the EdTech Throwdown, subscribe to the channel. You can connect with us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. The show's handle is EdTech Throwdown. You can connect with Guise at Guise.tech, Nick at Nick.tech. You can write us an Apple Podcast review. You can tell your friends about www.edtechthrowdown.com. And lastly, go over and check out our friends over at the Teach Better Podcast Network, a network that we are so proudly involved with. Until next time, remember, go try some EdTech because we will do the research so you can teach your class.